Victims of human trafficking go unseen. Many don't realize it, but it's happening in our own towns. Not only is it happening in our towns, but across the entire state of Ohio. This is the issue of human trafficking in Ohio and how we can prevent it. So what is human trafficking? The Federal Trafficking Victim Protection Act of 2000 says that human trafficking is the illegal ownership and sale of human beings, and in modern times it takes many different forms. And the act defines it in two different categories: forced sex work and forced labor work. Columbus is ranked as the 9th highest in the country in terms of human trafficking. Ohio is also ranked as the 5th in the nation for cases and 4th worst ratio per 100,000 citizens, with 3.84 victims per 100,000 citizens. From 2010 to 2020, large percentage are women, and 87,003 total victims in Ohio. 70% were women, 29 out of 31 had gynecological illnesses, 90% had reported an illness, and 84% reported at least 2 or more. A quote from a survivor from human trafficking: "I got pregnant 12 times, all of them by my trafficker/pimp. I had 3 abortions, 3 children, and many miscarriages." Human trafficking is one of the biggest issues, and it's going under the radar in the state of Ohio. And we, as people in the state, need to pay attention to the issue and help change the direction for our society. So what is our response? Firstly, we need to increase law enforcement's focus on the issue. A survey from RAND Safety and Justice, 8% of agencies reported conducting training. Law enforcement needs to increase training for everyone in the department and focus on the issue and make sure everyone is informed. We also need to be dedicating personnel to human trafficking. According to the same survey, only 4 of the departments exclusively deal with human trafficking, and none were in Columbus at the time of the survey. Especially in cities where we are ranked 9th in the country, we definitely need to be having dedicated departments to the issue. Secondly, our response is increasing awareness among everyone in society. Studies show that law enforcement are more likely to be the first to encounter the sex victims and perpetrators of human trafficking. These could be at traffic accidents, tips from citizens, or border checks. 11 of 12 cases in the study, authorities failed to identify/take action. Service providers are usually first to identify trafficked laborers. In the study, all cases were identified by service providers for laborers, while only 1 by law enforcement. It's also known that Ohio's response to human trafficking has been labeled as weak. According to the study done by ResearchGate, they came to the conclusion that Ohio's response was not working, especially for the young victims in social services. We definitely depended on the response being greater. Thirdly, our response is changing Ohio's policies that are harming victims and helping the perpetrators. The law can benefit the traffickers over the victims in many cases. If someone is disabled or under 16, Ohio presumes anyone profiting from sex work is guilty. But if they are over 17 years old and have a history of childhood trauma and is relying on their pimp for shelter and food and water and many essentials to life, Ohio's definition of human trafficking can be complicated in federal law. Secondly, victims are still charged for prostitution even when the offender is charged as well. Even in child traffic cases, children as young as 11 have been charged with prostitution. Law and courts need to be better at protecting victims and not punishing them, especially young kids such as them who cannot control what has happened to them. So what's our plain overview? Law enforcement need to increase their training and personnel for the issue. They need to focus on informing everyone that's involved in law enforcement and the issue of human trafficking and create the knowledge that is needed to stop on their end. And having the dedicated personnel, as there were, at the time of the survey, none in Columbus. Secondly, raising awareness and knowing situations that the human trafficking can occur. raising awareness not only for law enforcement but also for the citizens of cities who have a high rate of human trafficking, letting them know that where they could be happening and what ages and what people may even look like that could be performing these kidnappings. Thirdly, changing the Ohio laws that benefit victims, that don't benefit victims and benefit the perpetrators more so. We need to be trying to protect these people who have had no choice in what has happened to them, and making sure that future cases don't end up like prior cases where even children that are as young as 11 have been charged with prostitution. So our conclusion, working together we can help those who need it the most. This is a horrific crime, and the state is the top 5 worst at it in terms of cases. The need for change can't be overstated, and the impact it would have on society would be immense trying to solve this horrific crime. Coming together and working to take these steps can benefit all of those who need to be saved.